10 royal privileges King Charles receives that the public doesn't know about. Number 10, keeping his royal properties. If the king moved out of Buckingham Palace, he wouldn't have to give up all of his royal residences. Buckingham Palace has been used as the official working and living headquarters of Britain's monarchs since 1837. With 775 rooms, it would be used by the king to host state banquets and engagements with world leaders and government officials. It's also a prime location for many milestone events and could become a permanent tourist attraction if the king were to officially move out. The palace is property of the Crown Estate, which the late Queen Elizabeth was the owner of while she was the monarch. However, this would change if the new king was no longer head of state. Along with their huge and iconic Buckingham Palace, this family has a numerous amount of properties. I mean, investing is always a good idea. You can never have too much money, right? Well, as we try to find out this mysterious amount of wealth this family actually has, let's take a look at the kinds of properties the members currently own. As if 2 palaces were not enough, add the St. James Palace to the list. This was once the former residence of the monarchs of England before the reign of Queen Victoria. With a total of 30 regal estates, the family owns a 50,000-acre estate in Norfolk, a Berkshire Wendy house, the infamous Kensington Palace, a couple cottages, castles, forts, and more. By the time I finish this list, I think the next in line of succession will be appointed. So all I'm gonna say is that the 30 properties are nothing less than intriguing. So I did the math, and if you wanted to stay for 1 month at each property, it would take 2.5 years to finish the tour. Probably more. And number 9, sovereign grants. Direct funding for the monarchy is through the sovereign grant. Some really important things that the sovereign grant helped with included $92 million renovations to Buckingham Palace. Spending close to $100 million on renos alone can't possibly be for aesthetic reasons or for tourists visiting the palace. Being royal means their palace and lifestyle has to be as royal as their title. But at that cost, I can't say that's the most relatable thing, no matter how much they want to be relatable to the general public. Royalists say these costs represent only £1 a year to every person in the UK. That makes it much better. All British people chipped in for the multi-million-dollar renos, whether they like it or not. Number 8, abolishing the monarchy. As much support as this family gets, there are people who really don't want to see this established monarchy continue. Which side are you on? For or against the monarchy? Drop your answers in the comments. And although republicanism isn't a strong force in Britain at the moment, that could change if it fails to attract the support of the younger British population. Now, if the monarchy was abolished, the Queen or King's consent would disappear. There would be no royal family to influence the country's legislation, and it is believed that the people of Britain would have a more fair and even democracy. This sounds very intriguing, but I guess not enough for the majority of the population to agree with the removal of the royal family. Number 7, expensive royals. Despite the money produced by the monarchy, the royal family is pretty expensive. Back in 2018 to 2019, they cost taxpayers $86 million. This was 41% more than the previous year. How does it make sense that there are thousands of people in debt, but the funds towards the royals are increasing? That shows where the money goes. Many agree that the education systems would benefit from this wealth more than old people and their children born into the crown. Not only does the system cost the British public money, but they're also unable to choose which ruler will come next, leaving taxpayers with no power over the system that takes a chunk of their money. And if you compare the wealth earned by the royals to the people of the country, it drastically changes the picture. The typical earnings of a full-time employee in England falls at £31,000, while the monarch banks around £42.8 million for doing royal things. Being born into the monarchy means you will never endure the same struggles as most people. They have no financial worries, aren't expected to work a 9 to 5, and the majority of society works hard to achieve a somewhat comfortable life. Number 6, lavish trips. Knowing that they are on the taxpayer's dime, the royal family is careful with their public behavior when it comes to extravagant spending. While there are often extreme expenses associated with major events such as weddings, the royal family has been known to fly on budget airlines and fund some of their own travel. But that isn't always true. A few trips these royals have taken in the past few years came with an outrageously priced bill. Charles and Camilla have somehow managed to spend $530,000 on a trip they took through the Caribbean. Other trips that were pretty pricey were trips taken by Will and Kate, estimating around $130,000. I need to somehow find a way to go on these trips. Just in case you haven't noticed, they're careful of their public persona as well. They feel like they have this sense of responsibility to the public that funds their lifestyle, and if they were acting reckless, they probably wouldn't have as much support, which makes sense. And it's funny when the paparazzi tries to catch them in awkward moments. Thinking about being absolutely perfect and delightful all the time just feels so exhausting. Do they still have to act perfect if they lose their luggage at an airport? I know a lot of us would be fuming. If this family woke up one day and decided to become savages, that would make major headlines, and honestly, I would probably want to tune in more. Number 5, more money for the royals, less for the people. Do the royals cost the government money, or do they make it money? The royals draw tourist dollars as well as publicity for Britain. In 2017, the monarchy boosted tourism in the UK by $640 million. Now that's a lot of money. Even though the sovereign grant is growing, which means more money for the royals, the Crown Estate still provides a lot of money to the government. Anti-monarchy groups don't really think the royal family brings in money, but what do you guys think? Are they just being haters, or are they onto something? They think the monarchy costs the country about $400 million a year. It was estimated that the government's cost to protect the family was over $100 million annually. $100 million to protect the family? I mean, that money could have gone towards better causes, like helping with the problem of homelessness, or providing money to low-income families, but instead they really said, let's protect one of the richest families in the world. Number 4, paying taxes. Charles has voluntarily paid income tax on his income from another landed estate, the Duchy of Cornwall. In 2016 to 2017, that estate brought in a revenue of $27 million, on which King Charles paid tax of around $5 million. In fact, most of King Charles's official duties are financed from the duchy's income. This income also covers however much the official duties of Camilla, William, and Kate would cost. The working royals in Charles's direct family get revenues from the sovereign grant too, so when Prince Harry and Meghan left, a lot of the royal income was put to a stop, which caused a bit of friction within the family, but mainly because they wouldn't be fulfilling their responsibility, which makes sense, but being cut cold turkey is rough. Late Queen's own funds were also used for her official duties, which means she doesn't get paid tax on that part of her income. So she did pay taxes, just not all of them. Must be nice. Number 3, the helicopter. The Cambridges may have downplayed how much they use the family helicopter. Even if they say it wasn't used very often at all, it's implied that it was being used a bit more than the Queen wanted. Another expense that caused tension for the family was the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge's tour of the Caribbean. The cost for chartered flights for that one trip costed $268,000. Can we take that in for a second? Flights alone almost cost $300,000. What could they have possibly been doing? Number 2, scandals. This family has been involved in scandals for generations. Being knee-deep in controversies is not a good look for the representation of Britain, but they somehow managed to pay the news outlets to run stories that promote them in a good way. I mean, they managed to be so perfect that people sweep their complete wrongdoings under a rug, which, might I add, has to be a huge rug. No one is obviously perfect, but the extent to which the royals have been exposed for the controversies is so out of pocket that it's actually shocking. And the fact that these news stories have not at all gotten as much attention as something as mediocre as the kind of dress Meghan wore to one random event. Political correspondent Nadine Batchelor-Hunt argued that the royals are becoming increasingly out of place in contemporary society due to the family's past and present scandals. And finally, number 1, travels funded by the citizens. The royal family's huge travel budget has more to do than just them having a lot of money. With one trip in 2017 costing them $5.8 million, it puts into perspective how much thought they must be putting into when traveling. A few royal travel protocols they must follow include color-coded luggage, traveling with an entourage, packing a black outfit just in case they need to attend an emergency funeral. Another rule that royal heirs can't travel together just in case a plane goes down because they don't want to lose more than one heir if it ever came down to it. I guess that makes sense, but it's pretty dark to think about or even consider. But that is all for today. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you next time on The Rich Life.